occasionally I like to ask my drummer what guitar should I bring to the gig this evening. Ash also plays guitar, but he's a sick drummer, and not ill, just like good. And he said, have you got anything ES335-ish? So this is a guitar that I bought, I think, in about July of last year. Sort of the last big gear purchase in terms of guitar that I've made, really, I think. Who put that mic there? I wanted to do a video on it. I wanted to try it. This is the first time I've done like a proper rock gig on an ES335 style instrument. This is a Tokai UES 130TB. This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. It's one of the ones that is nitro finished. Ash, I let him hold it and he was like, oh, that's really light. And so that's one of the cool things. I think there is certainly in the cheaper ES335s that I've played a tendency for them to feel a little bit on the heavier side. But I think when you get a nice, good weight ES335, it's a completely different feeling in the hands because it's just like, okay, well this now actually feels like a semi-hollow style guitar, which it should do, you know, in my opinion. Some of the Sire guitars that I played, well, just mostly the Sires is kind of what my experience of an ES335 type guitar is from, and those are slightly heavier because they're on the sort of cheaper side, whereas this, you know, feels really comfortable in the hands. It's a pretty versatile instrument, and yeah, I've said before, I feel like the ES335 is the type of guitar you see it on the stand or see someone, you know, pick it out of a case. You don't necessarily have any idea what they might be about to play on that instrument. You know, it could be jazz, it could be rock, probably not metal, but anywhere in between. There's a good chance of getting some decent sounds out of it. I think Adam Levy is a guy that I think has made some incredible music on the ES335. If you're into Adam Levy, you could use the code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of his TrueFire courses. He's got some great stuff on there around kind of jazz folk. And if you're looking for like a more accessible way into this kind of jazz stuff and stuff that isn't just jazzy for the sake of it, but actually sounds good and chilled. He's got this sort of thing where you sort of trade licks with him. It's a really interesting course. So you go between comping and then lead playing. I think that's a great course. JNC 40 to get 40% off. If you want to use JNC 100, you can get $100 off of All Access Pass, which gets you access to that for the entire year with everything else on TrueFire. And there's a load of amazing stuff. Eric Johnson, Andy Timmons, Andy Wood, Tim Miller, you know, lots of stuff. Martin Taylor, Tim Lurch. Anyway, so ES335 stuff. So what I thought was going to happen with this was what happened here for a small amount of time. Stop me now. And that was that it was going to be a little bit on the unruly side in terms of feedback. Now, this only happened one time. I don't know if I was more conscious of it. I was actually using HX Stomp into the Fender FR12, but it was in a TP, so quite loud volume. So if there was going to be a feedback problem, I think last night would have been the sort of time that this would have reared its head. But actually, what I'm finding personally was that it's like the good kind of feedback, where like maybe for strumming a nice big chord and you stand sort of near the speaker, you get like a really nice controllable, like, it's hard to describe, but it's like a musical kind of feedback rather than just a squeal. And certainly I've done gigs with microphonic pickups or with full hollow body guitars where that wasn't the case. So it's a super musical feedback that I was getting out of it, I thought, you know, as feedbacks go. So that was a good thing. The only negative for me was that I had this strap kind of a little bit high, and so it looked like I lived A, with my mother, B, I think my flies were open for a good portion of the gig, so that's not ideal either. And then the picking hand position for like funky stuff was a little bit higher than I'd have liked it. And the other thing is that this pick guard sort of seems to interfere a little bit with like funky picking, but for everything else I'd say it was great. I was mostly on the neck pickup for cleans. But actually the bridge pickup for everything kind of sounds pretty good. I did do a little bit of the Justin Ostrander thing where you're in the middle position, but you kind of take the kind of neck volume down. Just to get rid of like the woofiness, and then that's like a little bit of an in-between kind of phase. But there's a video on that if you want to check that out that I did in relation to Les Paul. Yeah, so for like this, but surprisingly as well for me, it works really well for the rockier stuff. Both tone controls fully open the entire night. So I think as well, sort of lead playing on this is really comfortable. You could even play Mr. Brightside and it sounded all right. Yeah, it was great. Anyway, so I think I'm going to do it again. The ES335 works nicely. As I say, this is a Tokai UES 130T. I think I put it up there with a bunch of the Gibson sort of ES335 types that I've played, as well as not breaking the bank. So let me know if you've got good suggestions in the comments for ES335 type guitars that you dig, or maybe that you play. If you've been gigging an ES335, I'd love to know some of your thoughts as well, or other people might as well. I probably won't get time to read these comments. It's a problem for me these days. But yeah, thank you for stopping by. I'm using the preset here, Deluxe Verb Zen, I think is what I've called it, or Deluxe Reverb Zen, if you want to check that out in the Gumroad folder for Helix Native, HX Stomp. It will work on them, but it's a really nice kind of cranked Deluxe Reverb sound. The only issue as well, the TP, the temperature dropped quite quickly, and then this guitar kind of dropped out of tune substantially, which was not ideal, but I think any guitar might have done that in that circumstance. So yeah, 14 thumbs up for the ES335. Play authentic.